right, so the purpose of this flow, as you can see, is a very simple flow. We're talking about basic pole moves, but the purpose is so that we can hone in on a really important detail, which is contact points. Also, maybe for some of us, seems like a really basic principle or idea, but the more we are able to utilize our contact points, the less we have to hold and carry in our arms. Yeah, so things become a lot easier and we become capable of creating a lot more with our bodies, a lot more shapes, spending more time in these shapes, elaborating upon these shapes, just moving at whatever paces we'd like to move instead of moving at the pace that our arms and our strength really determine for us. So we're gonna take, what is this? Really 3 shapes, and we're going to talk about how we can really lean into these contact points to create fluidity, seamlessness, to really slow down time and milk these shapes and just enjoy ourselves. So we're going to talk about really tiny details, and you can take all of what we talk about today and you can bring it into any flow, really at whatever level it is. So these principles can be used for beginner through advanced material, okay? So we're gonna start this flow here. We'll be standing next to the base of the pole. Our inside hand is gonna be up high. Weight's gonna be on our outside foot, and we're gonna lift our inside leg up to find a knee hook. So first things first, we gotta get a solid knee hook for this. To ensure a solid knee hook, we really need to take this leg and we need to roll it in. We need to roll this knee inward, almost as if we are trying to spread our cheeks, okay? So we lift this leg, we roll the knee in. Keep the leg straight until you feel and find knee pit contact with the pole, then you bend, okay? One more thing, ideally for this flow, I would love for you to hook your knee just above hip level. Now, it's common in the beginning to kind of have some trouble lifting that leg up high, and there is a workaround for that to create a higher lift with our leg without needing more strength and more flexibility. And really that involves just tucking the hips or sending the butt to the back, sending the chest forward, yeah? When I lift my leg, if I keep my body straight, my hips pressed forward, my chest lifted, it does require a whole lot more work to roll my knee in and to lift my leg, a whole lot more strength, a whole lot more muscle engagement. But if I lift my leg and I fold forward, sending my butt to the back, folding my chest down, it is a lot easier to get a nice high lift and a higher knee hook. So use that as you will. See if we can get a knee hook that's just above hip level. We lift it up, we roll the knee in, we hook that knee. Nice solid knee hook. Inside hand is reached up high, outside hand is gonna be across the chest. We're gonna push off of our outside leg to fall forward. We're not jumping, we're falling forward, yes? Outside leg will naturally come behind the pole. You're gonna press the shin into the back of the pole, like so, okay? Keep kicking this inside heel to the butt to maintain this knee pit grip, and you can extend both arms, lean out and away from the pole. Let's come on down to our outside toes for now. So once that outside leg finds the back of the pole, I want us to be relying on a couple of contact points. One, like I just said, we have the outside leg at the back of the pole. We've also got the knee pit grip, and with that knee pit grip comes something really important. The pole will naturally rest along the outside of this thigh when we find a knee pit grip. That's gonna be a super, super vital contact point for so many other moves. We're gonna think about this idea of using rigidity and tension in our bodies to slow down time, and maybe even at other times to free up other areas of our bodies. There's this dance that we're gonna find between tension and rigidity and fluidity and flow, okay? Again, I'm gonna be throwing out a lot of principle in this. If you are day one pole and this is just too much to digest, let it just come in one ear, sit, and out the other. It will make sense the further along on your journey you get. For some of us, I think this might be really helpful in changing our flows and our interactions with the pole. So as long as we feel really solid with those contact points that we just talked about, then we can move on to the next step, where we're gonna talk about glute engagement, yeah? Glute engagement in this next step is gonna help us to lift our butt up. It's gonna create tension along this whole leg increasing the pressure on these contact points, and it's gonna allow us to lift, and it's gonna allow us not only to lift, but to hold a really beautiful shape. Okay, so from the beginning, enough words, weight on the outside leg, lift that inside leg up, leaning forward as we roll our knee in, we find our knee pit grip. Outside hand is across the chest, we're gonna fall forward. Outside leg will come behind the pole. Continue leaning out and away from the pole, arms extended. I'm gonna have us engage this inside butt cheek. Yeah, creating a little bit of tension right there, increasing the pressure on the side of the thigh, and then start to extend that leg. Extend, 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 continue leaning out. My legs are both extended. The pole is basically squeezing in between my legs here. The side of the thigh is a major contact point. If I need to slide those hands down, it might increase the pressure at the side of the thigh, give me a little bit more grip. When I'm ready, I slowly ease up on that pressure, and I'm gonna land on my inside toes. Yes? So that already might be enough to digest for today, depending on where you're at with spin and with pole in general. And that's a wonderful chunk to digest. So if you wanna just sit with that for a moment before moving on to the rest of the tutorial, that's wonderful, do that. Now the next part we can talk about separately. This way, again, you can extract that part from this flow and just work on that separately, or you can easily tack those two together. So we've just landed on our inside toes. My inside hand is up high, or is the higher of the two. My outside hand is the lower of the two. We're gonna shift our weight onto those toes. If they're not there already, our other leg is lifted. We're gonna turn our hips to face the pole. And as we do so, we're gonna find our way into a pole sit. Let's talk about a couple things first. So a lot of times when we make our way into pole sits, we do a little bit of a jump into a lot of moves. We do a little bit of a jump, therefore placing a lot of our weight into our upper bodies, really relying on our upper bodies to catch us until we're able to wrap around the pole. Kind of looks a little something like this. Yeah, hopefully that was clear. We don't need to do that. Our upper bodies do not need to do all that. We have so many contact points to utilize, and we have our leg muscles to utilize to take some of that weight off and out of the upper body, okay? So let's talk about entering this pole sit. I'm gonna do it really slow, maybe even too slow. I suggest just watching this instead of doing it with me. My weight is on my inside toes. I pivot to turn my hips and tummy to face the pole. Here's one contact point already. My tummy found the pole. As I continue pivoting, this leg is gonna externally rotate and the thigh, the inner thigh is gonna find the pole. I have two major contact points right now, and I still have my foot on the floor, okay? So my arms are working, but they're working with three other things helping them. Yeah. Continue pivoting until this thigh then also touches the pole. Now I have three contact points. I have my tummy area inside of both thighs. My thighs are squeezing together, and I have my foot still on the floor, helping my arms. Once I find all of that, then I can simply release this foot off of the floor and I can fall into my pole sit in a really seamless way, yeah? Altogether, that looks like this. And we're kind of tilted here, so it's like a pole sit variation, a really beautiful variation. My one hand will end up across my chest, which I can feel free to take off if I'd like. And once we find our way into this pole sit, a variation would be to take that outside hand off, fold down, wrapping that arm around the legs, and then climbing back up to come out. Okay, I know I've given you a lot of detail. Again, feel free to pick and choose what you want to work on from this tutorial today. Remember that all of this can be utilized in pretty much any other flow you use, okay? We're gonna talk about one more thing, and that is our final descent to the floor. So we're in our pole sit, right? That's the last thing we worked on. This is, again, a principle that you can use in any descent or transition to the floor, just to make it seamless, make it a little bit smoother of a transition. When we are in our pole sit, our feet obviously are gonna start to aim for the floor, and we're gonna plant our toes on the floor, right? Now there's one way of stopping from our pole sit. We're here, toes find the floor, we stop, and we've descended to the floor, right? Right, but that was a little abrupt, okay? So there are some tiny changes that we can make to make it a little bit more gradual, just a little bit more of a fluid and seamless end to our pole flow and transition to the floor. So let's just take one foot, one set of toes. As our toes are approaching the floor, we want to find just the slightest bit of softness in our legs so that we can avoid this or this. We avoid just planting and immediately stopping our flow, okay? We create just enough softness in our feet so that we can let the floor come to our toes and we can meet it with just a little bit of give, yeah? So we don't apply too much pressure yet. We find the floor first, little bit of softness, there it is, and then we very gradually increase the pressure to gradually find our stop. I'm gonna show you that. So from our pole sit, I'm here. I'm gonna bend my legs, letting the floor find my toes. There it is. Gradually increasing that pressure to find my stop. Okay, that all being said, let's do it all together. So weight on those outside toes, we lift, we roll the knee in, we find our knee pit grip. Outside hand, reaching across the chest, inside hand is above. Pushing off of our outside toes, we fall forward, outside leg behind the pole. Engage that glute to lift the hips up a little bit, creating that rigidity here. We extend the inside leg. We lean out and away from the pole, really rest on this contact point. And when we're ready to come down, we slowly let up on the contact point. Our toes will find the floor, gradually increase that pressure to land on the inside toes, and then pivoting on those toes, turning the hips and the tummy to face the pole, using those contact points to fall into our pole sit. Outside hand, the one that's reach across the chest, releases, we fold down, wrapping around our legs. And we climb it back up. Toes find the floor. Again, we gradually increase that pressure to come out.